basically I would say, okay, so your product is worth $5,000 and your profit margin on that is 1,000. Just keep the numbers easy. Now, I asked them the question, how much are you willing to pay to get a new client? And they'll say, well, I'd be willing to spend $500. I ask, why? And then I'm going to figure out why they came to that number, what it is. I'm going to say, what's your break-even point? Like how much could we spend to get you a client where you would be breaking even, you wouldn't be making any money, right? So I want to know that. It's a good number to know. And then they'll tell me that, and we'll figure it out together. Say, all right, great. So what if we had a system? And I call this a commercial campaign, where basically I'm going to create a video that is your best salesperson, that people could watch your best salesperson in action every day, all day, online, sitting there, promoting and telling you the value of your product and service. And then we're going to drive your ideal clients who don't know about you right now from online to this page to watch that video and then call you or fill out a form. And the way the numbers work is I'm going to pay per click, I'm going to pay for the people to watch the video, but then as long as I keep those numbers underneath of $500 for each sale that you get, we'll figure out those numbers together, then we can acquire you clients, rinse and repeat all day long, every single week. And for most people, that's enough. That's all I have to say. Then for some people, they want to know a little bit more. They're like, okay, so tell me more about that. And then you can just walk them through it. All right, so if we're spending $500 per client, we're going to need to get, how many people do you typically convert into sales after you have a meeting with them? Well, I go with one in 5. All right, great. So that's about a 20% conversion rate. So that means we can spend roughly $100 per call. Does that make sense how I got to that number? Everybody?
Yes.
Good? Yeah? Tracking? Your client needs to be tracking on this part too. So I'm always going to be asking that. I say, all right, great. So that's how much we can spend per call. Now, if 1 in 10 people who see this commercial end up booking a call with you, that means I can spend $10 per person to see the commercial. Does that make sense? Great. The good news is I can get clicks on Facebook for roughly $2. So I can get you 5 people, or 5 more people than necessary to get you those people that commercial and then get you phone calls. Because I know that that's kind of the benchmark that we have there. Now the person's starting to logically see how this system works. They're seeing the math, they're seeing the big picture of it, but I'm not going into how the algorithm works. I'm not going into how a campaign has 3 image creatives with 2 video. Like none of that stuff is necessary to talk about. But they can just logically see how we get to the goal.
And maybe this is a question for later, but how do you factor into that cost, like your retainer fee?
So if they're willing to spend $500 a client and they want to get 10 clients, that's $5,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then if that's the case, then I'll put, from that $5,000, I'll take a percentage of that for management and the rest of it goes to ad spend. What percentage goes to management is completely up to you. In the beginning, I recommend having it being a little bit lower, right? There's no right answer wins, but a little bit lower is kind of smart. And you can get it up to 50% of that is going directly into your pocket. So if it's $5,000, you're making $2,500, you're spending $2,500.
Okay.
Make sense?
Okay, yeah.
And that's how we come up with that. But I don't talk about that kind of thing at that point. I just want to figure
the ad spend element in the sales meeting?
I do, but not until the end of the meeting. This part is kind of happening right in the desired, current situation, desired situation, and then we sort of talk about, all right, well, in order to get to that desired situation, here's what that, I imagine you're wondering what that would look like, right?
Yeah.
I use that a lot. I say, well, I imagine you're wondering what this would look like. And that is like, well, yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Then we just go through that kind of conversation right there, break it down on a simple level.
So you just got to the point of saying you want 10 clients at $500 clients, $5,000, right? And then you went to the next step. Well, what's your fee going to be out of that? Say it's 50%. Now you just took that in half to $2,500. So now they're only going to get 5 clients.
No, you're just going to spend $250 per client from an ad spend perspective, $500 in total for them. right? Because they're still spending $5,000 going to you, right? $2,500 is going to ad spend, $2,500 is going to you. So they're still spending $500 per client in terms of cost per acquisition. Does that make sense?
So that would depend on your ability to get them
That would depend on your ability to get them clients, correct? Yeah, but that's the reason that we have the ad spend be a little bit higher in the beginning until you start to get this proof of concept.
Do you break it down with the percentage usually, or like a typical, like just a set fee per month? You know?
In the beginning, I would just know that I would kind of know the number that I would be willing to do it for. So if I want $1,000 in management fee, or I want $2,500 in management fee, I have to know kind of an idea of, well, what is it that this person wants to make? Okay, and that number needs to be big enough to where I have that value in it for me, right? So if the person's thinking small in terms of their desired result, I'm going to tell them to think bigger. I'm going to tell them to start thinking about, instead of going from $10,000 to $20,000, let's go from $10,000 to $50,000.
Yeah. And you'll do this math on the fly on the call because you don't know it before you go into
Correct.
the call. Yeah.
And then they also have to have like a minimum profit margin so that it makes sense for them to.
But that's in the cost per acquisition. That's why we're asking how much are you willing to spend to get a client.
Right, but you might come across someone who's like has a very small margin or something, and then you go, well, it's not gonna work because your margin is not big enough for.
Yeah,
your
sure.
spend.
And that happens. And then if that's the case, then I'm going to look at the creator's operating system and I'm going to tell them, well, this isn't going to work for you the way you have your business set up now.
Right.
If your profit margin is only $10 and you want to get clients for $5, I probably can't do that. So how do we increase the value of your offer? So that way you're selling something with $100 $100 profit margin. And that's exactly what Daryl did. Daryl was working with a skin beauty product. They were selling things for like $16 with $2 profit margins. So what did he do?
Online? Was that online?
Online through e-commerce. And that's the only real way to get those smaller dollar products to work. And he said, all right, well, what's the highest value thing that you sell? Like, oh, it's this bundle of skin products. And we have like $360. So he started selling that. You can bundle things together.
Like when you help Miranda with the massage, like would
Sure.
would you bundle, like get a package of 10 massages?
Yep.
Something
That's
like
exactly what we did. We
Okay.
bundled roughly 10 together, so that was about $800. And we drove traffic to that. And we also knew, like I knew, that almost all of her clients are repeat clients. Her lifetime value was in the thousands per client, actually. So we were, because our ad spend was really low on that campaign to fill her week, it was really simple. We knew we didn't have to spend that much to max her out because of the repeat client aspect of it. So even if they didn't buy a bundle, which a lot of people did because it was cheaper by a little tiny bit, we were able to max her out simply by just getting the repeat client aspect, even if people were buying one at a time.
Oh, so you did sell the individuals too?
She sold the individuals too, yeah, and
What
people
was
still.
the sales funnel? It was just like a callback, like a.
It was a lead generation sales funnel. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one landing page,
Yeah.
and ads going to it from Google.
Yeah.
And we had a little, really simple commercial. Some of you may have seen it. I mean, it was just literally just a walkthrough of the massage space, and they're right there.
So the sale of whether it was one or the whole package was on the phone?
Yeah, it was on the phone.
Okay.
So she would get phone calls or form submissions,
Yeah.
and the phone calls when they came through, she would have them booked right then. So all right, so here's your appointment. It's going to be this much for the first one, and if you get a package, it'll be cheaper, and we'll talk about that once you get in here.
Yeah.
But they already knew they were going to pay because they were getting a massage right then and there.
Right.
So if those were repeat clients, how long did you have the campaign on until it was like, all right, this is full? Or did you turn it on
Not
and
long.
off, or?
Not very long, yeah. And that was one of the reasons, like that campaign was so simple, was because, like I could easily max out like any massage business here, with like 10 people at it, just in a couple weeks, probably a couple months. And then the issue is because you can iterate the creative to make it so much stronger than what I did. I could have made the creative way stronger to where it was a demonstration commercial of her actually giving a massage. And who's not going to go get a massage after watching one of those, right? So I could have done a lot of things to make that campaign way stronger, but I didn't need to because I was getting the result we wanted.